Welcome back to STS Podcast here, where we're shooting the shit in Eastwood Recording at Florence, Mississippi. I'm your host. My name is Scott Jones, and the man in your head tonight is Kevin Williams.
Hello, hello.
Tonight on deck, we have Ricky Keys and Jesse Mack. And we're going to be going back a long ways, these guys. What's up, man?
Welcome, guys.
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Jesse, I tell you, let's go back probably mid-'80s somewhere.
Okay.
And you were probably just arriving around Jackson around the 80s, maybe?
Yeah, January 1, 1987, moved to Jackson. But I want to go back a little bit further than that to where the name Cyrus came from. The name Cyrus came from Biloxi. I was in Biloxi for about 8 years and had a band there. First one was called Blaze. It did real good. And then I had another one called Cyrus with Sammy Thompson, Chuck Aceveda, and James Blanchard that we run pretty good for about 3 years. And then I moved up here January 1, 1987 and didn't know a soul. I was working at West Building Supply and met a guy named Tommy Nelson and Todd McKinney, of all people. And Tommy said he had a band, was a drummer and all this, and he was telling me about his band. I said, "Man, come on, let me sing. Let me sing a couple of songs." No, you can't sing. You can't sing. So finally, I got him talked in to let me come over to a practice, and that's when I first met Kevin. Kevin was the first guitar player I met here in town, and not a bad way to start.
Not a bad way at all.
But me and Kevin jammed a couple of times, and I think one of the other guitar players was having girl problems, and we just kind of shut it down. And I went on and found an ad in the paper, rock band looking for singer, and it was Carl Harrell. And Carl Harrell, I called him, and I went and auditioned for him and Mike Whitick and Paul Whitick. And I think that at that time, the name of the band was Vertigo. And that worked out for a little while.
I remember the name Vertigo, or somebody had a Vertigo, or we used to write it, or it was on the bathroom walls.
Yeah. Mike and Paul had a band called Vertigo with Carl before me.
Okay.
That they did Town Creek a lot.
Okay.
And
when you're saying Cyrus, the earlier Cyrus was on the coast.
On the coast.
A whole different group.
Yeah. This was before I ever came up here.
Okay.
They ran from about 83, 84 to 86.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved up here, and Carl and I, with Mike Whitick and Paul Whitick, we lasted about 6 months or so, and that fell apart. And Carl told me, "Man, just hang on. I'll see if I can't find us another guitar player." And he came up with Steve Haddad and Rich Hall as the bass player, and we jammed a little while. And in the process, I was going to see Kevin, and I didn't know Ricky at the time, and Kevin was jamming at the UPS warehouses. Who was in the band, Ricky?
Joey Triplett. Tommy Nelson.
Tommy Nelson was the drummer. Buck was the guitar player, and he was a keyboard player.
And I was keyboards.
So Ricky, at this time, you're in town in the Jackson area?
Yeah. I grew up in Jackson.
And y'all just waiting for y'all's paths to cross.
Yeah. Oh, and it was really funny now that we look back at it because somebody called me. Joey Triplett called me out of the blue one day and just asked me that he got my number from George Phillips at Morrison Brothers, and that I was looking for a band, and he said, "Hey, you want to play?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "Well, we got some guys together. We're trying to get something up." And I said, "Okay," and they wanted to add keys because it was 1987 and all the songs had a lot of keys and
all the hair bands.
All the hair bands
were starting at that time,
and I'd never been. And I'm going to say a real band before. I'd always just play with some guys or whatever, and that was it.
That sounds sexy.
Hey, don't knock it. So then I go, I meet Joey, and Joey said, "Hey, man, we don't have a place to practice. You know of a place, And I was like, well, we could probably practice at, my house, my parents' house. Okay, well, they came over there and they had all this equipment. I mean, just gobs and gobs of equipment. I mean, these huge SP1 PV speakers, which were the biggest of that line. And they brought them inside. We took all the furniture out of the dining room and living room area, moved all the furniture outside, moved all that inside, and then jammed for probably 2 hours, 3 hours at the most, and then did it all in reverse.
Right.
And and so Kevin was there, and so I got to know Kevin.
Yeah.
And so after that, Kevin called and said, "Hey, we got a place. It's down in this storage shed, in a storage unit," and went down there. And this was the first time I'd practiced with him in that storage unit. And it was the same folks. And they said, "Hey, we got a singer coming in tonight, that's going to sing with us." I went, "Okay." And in walks Jesse Mack.
And I didn't know a whole lot what was going on, but I recognized a keyboard player. And I knew Carl.
And I was there too.
And Steve and Rich Hall. And we were kind of looking for something like what Ricky was bringing. And they were doing a lot of more heavy metal stuff than what Ricky wanted to do.
Right.
And we were doing,
there's not a lot of keys.
Right. There's not a lot of keyboard in heavy metal.
Right?
You can't, no keys in Iron Maiden, no keys in Judas Priest, But what we were wanting to do was more like REO Speedwagon, Loverboy, Bon Jovi, stuff like that was inundated with keyboards. So I told Carl about him, and I don't know who got in touch with you. Carl got in touch with him and told him to come over and jam with us. And he did.
And I didn't know anybody there. I walk in, and then he comes in, and I'm like, "Hey, I know you."
Yeah.
And he was nice to me that night. He wasn't nice to me the first night I met him.
What is a keyboard player doing in a heavy metal band? You just it don't work.
Bring some class in there.
That's
Jesse
right.
Mack.
That's right. But from that point on, we had, who was it? Steve, Rich Hall, Carl, you, me,
and Doug Powers. So we had a six-piece.
A six-piece with two guitar players, and they were smoking. We did Def Leppard Animal, and it sounded like the record. Backing harmonies and all was perfect. 6 months later, it fell apart. I mean,
and we practiced 3 times a week.
Oh, we practiced 5 times a week. We all had jobs. We would be at Carl's house at 6:30 every afternoon, and we practiced 4 or 5 times a week. And in less than 6 months, we were ready to go, and it fell apart.
Yeah,
it literally fell apart.
And that's sad.
Was it the singer's fault?
No,
not this time. I mean,
not this time.
Yeah, in a lot of bands it is. And
every other band, it was my fault. I mean, the singer's fault. I'm sorry, did I say that? La 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 la. But no, it was not my fault. It was.
It was just
random.
Yeah.
So Carl told me then. He said, "Look, just hang on. Let me see what I can do. Let me do this." We all went our separate ways.
Yeah, we had not really talked.
No, 6 months.
Yeah.
And Carl come over to me one day and he said, "Hey, I think I got it back together." I said, "We're just going to be down one guitar player." I said, "Okay, well, let's go see what we got." And it was Steve Haddad, Rich Hall, Ricky Keys, Carl Harrell, and myself. And we rolled as Cyrus. And that's what you've seen. You can go on YouTube and type in Cyrus Town Creek Saloon.
Right.
And you can see there's 5 or 6 videos thanks to Mike Whiting.
Oh, we have to thank Mike Whiting. Mike's Treasures.
Yes, Mike's Treasures
is the
sole provider for
channel
those things.
On
yes.
YouTube. And Mike put most of our recordings to digital.
$1 Million Sandpiper is because of Mike Whiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of the better ones. You can't hardly see us because of the lighting, but the sound quality. You just like it because it shows the hotel room and you're walking around in a towel. Steve Haddad pointed me out. Get Jesse. Get Mac. No, it was Rich Hall. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
of course, Rich. Jesse.
Yeah, the Town Creek, that was a great place. That's where I saw y'all at.
Yeah. We don't have anything like that anymore.
No.
Nothing like that. No.
I enjoyed Kathmandu's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played there.
Lamar.
Yeah.
But Eli was one of the big bands there.
Yeah, I usually would, I was Lamar on one night and Town Creek on the other night, if not both nights. Town Creek, depending.
Town Creek, if it was dark, if it was light, it looked the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
You walk into Kathmandu's, man, at night, it was just so nice and it was elegant, if that was the word, right?
Yeah.
And you get there to load in, it's like, Man, with the lights on, no.
You can see all this stuff on.
It's like a strip club whenever you see the girls with the lights on. It's like, no, wait a minute. That ain't fantasy.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Oh, man. So that's what I remember about Kathmandu.
Yep.
But yeah, not just Jackson. I mean, we hooked up with Big J Productions.
It took us a while to get with Big J, and we tried and tried. You probably don't know who that is. Big J Production was out of New Orleans, and he had Zebra, Lily and Axe, and Razor White, and a few other bands.
Probably Dark August.
And Dark August for sure,
Hagen.
Kevin.
I've seen all those bands.
All those bands.
Yeah,
all those bands.
Those were his big bands. And we tried. Called him every week, sent him videos, sent him CDs, sent him everything, and he wouldn't have anything to do with us. And then one December 21st, he called us and said, guys, I had a band cancel on me. If y'all will go do this for us, do this for me, y'all will never have to worry about bands bookings again. This was December 22nd and 23rd in Shreveport. The wives were furious because we weren't going to be back till Christmas Eve afternoon.
Right.
They were furious.
But
we went down there and we did it. And Big J never backed down from his promise. He kept us booked.
We also went down there in a van that didn't have any heat. So Carl had gotten a van that didn't have any heat. And Mike White was there, and he worked on cars.
It was 15 degrees.
Rich and Steve worked together, so they were going to drive down after work
Jitney
together.
Warehouse.
At Jitney Jungle Warehouse.
Jitney Jungle Warehouse downtown.
I worked there too.
Went on Mill Street?
On Mill Street.
Yeah, on Mill Street.
Yep.
And we were riding. We had the 4-hour drive, the 3.5-hour drive to Shreveport, and we're pulling a U-Haul, and it was so cold,
15 degrees outside.
And what we were sitting on.
Me and you were sitting on each other.
Yeah, I mean we were closer than we'd ever been before.
And this is why we're this close now, because we shared so much body heat that day.
I mean, it was so cold, and every 10 miles.
Mike
would go, "Hey, I got an idea. I got
a theory.
Let me go see this." And he put something in front of the
radiator
to try to make the heat, get hotter, make the water get hot. Nothing worked, and I swear we pulled over 8 or 9 times trying to. So finally, Carl said, "Hey, we're just going, huddle up, Rick and Mac."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we huddled up, and it's history.
Yeah. We made it to the show. Steve and Rich showed up in Steve's car because they worked together afterwards, and they had heat, but we didn't have heat. But we showed up at the hotel, did the show, and Big J kept us booked. Kept us booked in Baton Rouge, kept us booked in Lafayette, Morgan City. I think we played Southport in New Orleans, and that's a big venue. Yeah. That's a huge venue.
Played St. Martinsville. Played. I mean, we went so far down. I mean, we couldn't understand people. Because it's Louisiana, so you get the Cajun accent.
They got that Cajun look. You know what I'm talking about.
And we were in St. Martinsville. And a guy came up to me in between sets, and he said something. And I'm so good with dialects and good with talking to people, because I can sit there and I can listen, I can pick it apart and say, okay. Well, he was talking to me. I couldn't understand a thing. And I'm like, what is he doing? So his girlfriend goes, he said he likes your band. He goes, and I said, oh, well, thanks, man. You gonna hang around? Oh, whatever he said. And she said, yeah, he likes your band. Do y'all play any Bon Jovi? I said, oh yeah, we got something coming up. And so that's one of those memories, you have, just like the Sandpiper used to be a disco club. And so the $1 Sandpiper was a disco club, and to get on stage, if you ever watched Don Kirshner's rock concert or some of those disco things from the 70s.
Oh yeah.
You had the booth with a DJ in it, and they'd spin the records. Well, it was on the stage, and you had to walk under it because there was only about 4 feet.
Yeah.
That you could get into the stage. So we had to load equipment that way.
I think Rich Hall bumped his head on the thing a couple of times.
Every single time. So that explains Rich. Huh, Rich? I love Rich. We're buddies.
Well, that's a good little story of perseverance. I mean, when you're talking about you inundated with calls, CDs, you kept on, and eventually something happened, and he's like, I got these guys right here.
Yeah.
I mean, and then your first gig out, you go down there and you're freezing to death. You just paid your dues. I mean, is that like something you can give advice to people? Like, it's not an easy life. It's not an easy thing to get into
anymore. It's not the same anymore.
It's totally different now.
It's totally different now. You don't have booking agents like we had back then. You just go to a club, you show them what you got, and if you've been playing around for a while, they know who you are. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to get in clubs now than it was back then because you had to have a promo pack. You had to have a picture. You had to have a CD or a DVD or a VHS tape back then. You had to have equipment list. You had to have bios on everybody. You had to have a book this thick to send to a booking agent back then. Yep. Not anymore.
There's a few venues and a few places you need some of that to get into now. I've done some photos for people who needed, something better than phone pics and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not the norm, because, I mean, again, people are paying the same amount they paid bands back then. It was just the dollar was worth more back then.
We talk about that on just about every show.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. The pay is the same as it was in 1989.
But when we started in Cyrus, we even did Gregory's Shake on the Lake.
Right. Yeah. Yazoo.
Yeah. And we met so many friends there. Connie and Jesse. And Misty Moore and Terry, Neil,
and Misty Moore,
and Misty Moore. And, these people followed us and were friends of ours, and they stayed loyal to us. Anytime we played anywhere, they'd show up. It was great to have people like that. And all of the people in Yazoo City and Belzona that came out to see us, man, we love those people.
Yazoo City, I mean, it was so packed that we had to walk around on the side once they built that walkway. We'd have to walk around on the side to get out front. I mean,
that's a favorite place for a lot of people to play back then.
Well, it was Belzona and Yazoo City and all those surrounding cities would show up at the same time.
Exactly.
And we played one year. Yeah, we played one year. There were 2 or 3 proms that showed up at the same time.
Oh wow.
There was close to 200 people in that little building.
Everybody want to get on stage too, I'm sure.
I mean, more than that, if you, at $5 a head.
At $5 a head, yeah.
Got memories from that,
Yeah.
It's not bad to have pictures from stuff, have memories like that. I was looking at a Facebook today. It had a picture of Randy Rhoads. It was a picture that, I think one weird pose he was doing the last show he did. And it was like, it looked like he was having the guitar covering him. It's like somebody got that memory. Somebody got that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so now we're at the time frame. Y'all are really going to Cyrus pretty good. So this is probably around 88, 89 era.
Yep. Did the Battle of the Bands, 89.
And y'all had Bryce on here recently.
Yeah.
Lixeray played.
Keith
and Bryce
actually was not on. It was Keith.
Keith was on. That was right. That was right. Yeah, Keith was there. Man, they won. They put on a hell of a show.
Sure did.
Yep.
I mean, we were all just going, man, y'all, they're great. And they were from the Belzona area, in the Yazoo
City.
So, I mean, that was...
we were all young back then, but they were kids for the most part,
Especially to him.
Everybody's kid to me.
Grandpa.
But Charades was there and they played.
Yeah.
But the bands I want to recognize are like Dead Man's Hands that played
Terry
here.
Ivy.
Terry Ivy and David Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
Those guys were badass back in the day, back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Harris.
Raksha. And those guys, Kevin and those guys were badass guys back then.
But we wouldn't say that about each other back then.
No. And y'all talked about that with
you talked about it with Rich. And I agreed to somewhat, but there wasn't any hatred.
No,
I never felt any hatred, any bad thing.
Hatred was I mean, that was just kind of a joke. But,
it's sort of like,
but it's
just beating your friend to the bar, or you know what I mean, or
right.
That's if I thought of it as any way, that would be what it would be. But I mean, I remember, when we played Betty's for the first time, you showed up, Kevin. You were there.
We'd been playing there, and
is Betty's the place where we found the guy outside on the air conditioner?
I'll tell that story if you want me to.
Oh, I got one to tell. Go ahead.
I used to love playing Betty's, man.
That was our first time, and y'all met us up there. I mean, I think it was Todd there.
Probably. I think he was,
I was trying to think it was Todd and you.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was 3, like the whole band wasn't there because we were going to get y'all up or whatever.
I'm sure it was me and Todd.
And so, y'all hung out, and we had fun. I mean, so it was great. And just a minute. So one night, there's this girl dancing on the dance floor, and she'd been out there the entire first set. And we took a break. In the second set, she was out there pretty much the entire time. some guys would dance with her, and then they go sit down, and she'd stay on the dance floor and stay out there. And then there was another guy that got up there or whatever, and we noticed by the time we got finished, she was gone. So we take a break, and back then everybody would just kind of go outside because it get kind of stuffy sometimes inside. So we were standing outside, and Steve Haddad, I started hearing him go, "Hey, Rick, man, come here. I said, what? He goes, oh, y'all, come here.
And we all walked around the side of the building.
He goes, come here. We walked around the side of the building, and they were, both of them, the woman was on the ground beside the air conditioner, and he was there too. And they got up really quick.
Yeah.
I think he left, but she was on the dance floor the whole time on the third set. So that was true story.
True story. True story. We have seen some things. Sure have.
Top that one.
Scott, don't throw up, Scott. Don't throw up.
I don't know. I've been on the road before, but
not like that. No.
Mm-hmm.
But on the dirt.
Not by an air conditioner.
Right on the air conditioner. He
Right
on
the
air conditioner.
Then we'd play the Rusty Nail, and they would pack out.
Rusty Nails in Baton Rouge.
I've heard of that.
So, Betty's was an A meet, which would be a mitt
in
Mississippi.
Yeah, in Mississippi.
But in Louisiana, it's A meet.
A meet.
Yep.
And then we'd play Baton Rouge, and we'd play the Rusty Nail, and that would be the only place that we'd play. In fact, on the way there, you passed a strip club, and it was the first time I'd ever seen
a strip club that advertised.
A strip club that advertised out there on the front. It said
3 good-looking ones.
No. It said 12 beautiful women and 3 ugly ones.
Wow.
And I was dying. That was the first time I'd ever seen again, you see that now, but at the time that was so funny.
I've played Baton Rouge prior to these guys. I played there in 83, 84, 85, and there was a place called The Rack. And the Rack was a pool hall, and there was one on Greenwell Spring Drive, and there was one in Prairieville. Prairieville is about 30 minutes south of Baton Rouge. And Cyrus out of Biloxi would play Friday night on Greenwell Springs Drive, and then Saturday night we'd move down to Prairieville, and we'd play down there. Had a great time. And Big J put us in the Rusty Nail when I came up to Jackson. By that time, the racks were all gone.
Okay,
but we also wound up in Lafayette.
Yeah, Sports Page. Sure was. It was raining so hard you couldn't see the road in front of us. By the time we got there, it was pouring down rain. We're unloading the truck in the rain. We're 45 minutes late to an hour late. I know we were late because the club owner come by and said, "This don't look good, guys. Y'all are this late." And we throwed together everything.
Yeah, you got to do that sometime.
Went on stage soaking wet. First set.
But we had Mike White. He ran sound for us the entire time, and we rented his PA, and he did such a great job. I mean, he definitely made us sound great.
Great.
Everybody he mixed sounded
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, he'd been doing it a long time with the Blues Boys too.
I know the name. I can't remember. I'm in the business too, so I just hear a lot of names.
Yeah.
Trooper Hales told me to tell you, hey, Jesse. Trooper?
Yeah. I hadn't seen Trooper in a long time. Ricky didn't you work with? No, he worked at.
He worked at Morrison Brothers when I worked there. Yeah. And in fact, I see Trooper about twice a year. We get together with this other band, Flashback. They're all retired, and so we all get together and just have we eat heavy hors d'oeuvres and just talk about the old days.
Yeah.
I'm already talking about the old days.
Funny thing about that is his dad was the number one man at Old Dominion when I hired in. He was a truck driver. His dad, Bob Hales, was the number one guy at Old Dominion, and I was there and got to run with him for about 4 or 5 years before he retired.
Okay.
But me and Ricky's played together, and so is Scott. I played with Scott for just a small amount of time. We jammed together for a little bit. Scott's a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, I heard some of the recordings they did. They'd just do some recordings, just sitting around and write some music and stuff.
Right.
I worked for Trooper for about 5 years, and then the company he had merged with another company, and we're all together still. I see him every day.
Oh, you see him every day?
Every day during the week.
Please tell him I said hi.
So now, how long did Cyrus last? Was it just like during the time that Town Creek was open, or did Town Creek closing? How did that affect things?
That we were still rolling when Town Creek. We dissolved while Town Creek was still going. So during Cyrus years, everybody had jobs. And during that time, I was in a relationship that was kind of a revolving door, in and out. She was always gone. She was always back. She was always gone. She was always back. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but at that point, at the end of Cyrus, I didn't have a job. Cyrus was all I had, and she left, and I didn't have any income. So we had just finished up Sports Page in Lafayette, and
first time we played there.
Yeah, the first time we played.
Cyrus.
I thought we played twice.
We played there at Cyrus one time. I think
Okay.
you had played there before.
Okay.
We had.
Okay. So I needed a job. And one Sunday morning, I was reading the Sunday paper and it said, truck driver needed, no experience necessary. And I said, that's me. And Monday morning, I went down and got a job and I hated it, but I had to have a job. And this truck driving job was, here's your paperwork, go. And I did. And I had to call Carl while I was on my way to Atlanta going, dude, I got to do this, man. He said, Jesse, I understand. Mac, I understand, but I got to cancel shows. I said, I'm sorry. I got to have a job.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't supporting me. So I took the truck driving job. And from that point on, I don't know what happened.
We just broke up. That was it.
It was the singer's fault, Kevin. But that's what happened with Cyrus. And I took a truck driving job and was gone for a couple of years.
Yeah. You're around the road all the time.
Yeah. And I would come in town. I'd go see Ricky when he was working at Mississippi Music. I finally come off the road. I'd been gone a couple of years and got my life back together and got a job in town. And I came back in town. First went to see Ricky and told him I was home for good. And I got home about 15, 20 minutes later. I get a phone call from a guy named Brian Jones. He said, hey, man, I hear you're back in town. He said, Ricky Keys told me he was back in town. I've seen you around. I know who you are. I want to put a band together with you.
And this is Brian Jones, the bass player?
The bass player, right. He lives in Biloxi now. He doesn't live up here.
We had known him through Shake on the Lake.
Yeah, Shake on the Lake.
Right.
He played with a band called Strike 3.
Strike 3.
He played for Strike 3, sure did.
He was the bass player.
My best friend was Andy Tadlock.
Andy Tadlock.
He played drums there. I was with him when he got the call to go try out for them.
Oh.
Because Andy and I had a band in high school, and I was a singer in a little garage band. I had a friend of mine played bass, and Andy played drums and all that. And
how did I not even know about that?
Because we didn't do anything outside the garage, but we did on our senior trip. Bubba and I did.
Oh, well, I was already gone then.
Yeah, I was in 11th grade. On the senior trip, Bubba and I did teach the song to the ship's band, and we performed it on the ship in international waters. So I played internationally, and we got a recording of it too. A friend of mine recorded it, and I got it at the house. A song that I wrote.
Oh, cool.
I wrote the lyrics to it, half the lyrics, and Bubba wrote the tune. Yeah, we wrote a few songs. It was pretty cool. Shane Turney's come over and played with us when he was first learning how to play guitar.
Really?
Yeah, I sang "Children of the Sun" back then, and we did a version of that.
I've known Shane
Children
since
of the Sun,
high
Children
school.
of the
We
Sun.
went to
Yeah.
high school together.
Yeah,
He's great.
I had neck surgery back in 2006, and my singing career is over now. But I could do like one or two songs, and so.
So the thing about Brian Jones is he auditioned for Cyrus back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And we got Paul Whitick to play bass with Cyrus.
Okay.
And you can go on YouTube and see some of the Cyrus videos, and he's playing bass.
Right after he played with us in Rocksha.
Right, right. So we had Paul playing bass and Mike running sound. And that went on until I told you, like I said, I had to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But then Brian called me after I got back into town and said, hey, man, I want to put a band together with you. And he said, I got a, what was it? I got a guitar player.
Yeah.
And I said, I got a keyboard player.
Yeah. And so it was Keith Mills, Richard Garrett
on drums.
Richard Garrett, yes.
Brian, Jesse,
Brian on bass.
me.
And Ricky.
Okay.
And that was the foundation for Yankee Station.
Okay.
So that was 92, 93.
Okay.
Right in there.
Yeah.
So we started playing in 93. Our first gig was Shake on the Lake.
Shake on the Lake.
We played out there, and then our drummer got a job and had to leave the band. And so we were looking for somebody. And so a friend of mine, Richie Jones, I called him up just out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in a little while, and I said, Richie, you want to come play? Oh, yeah, man, I'll come play. And showed up, and then he was there He was our drummer then.
Man, what a good drummer too.
No, dude.
Yeah, and
backing vocals.
Yeah, he
oh
could
my
sing.
goodness. Woo.
And a great person.
Great
Just
person.
Just fantastic person.
But in the meantime, Ricky was running sound for Marty.
For Rebos. Rebos was a
Southern rock.
It was a Southern rock band, but it was sober backwards.
Right.
Because almost everybody was in recovery.
Right.
Almost.
So had
Marty's got a really good story.
Oh, Marty's got a great story. But you had John Ball on bass, and you had Bob Mulholland on drums, and you had Marty Smith on guitar, and then you had Charlie. He had Charlie on.
I can't remember his name, but I remember that Flying V.
And man, and originally their singer's name was Paul Shiley, and they did all kind of Southern rock stuff. They coined themselves as a Southern fried rock.
Okay.
Allman Brothers,
so they
ZZ
did
Top,
Allman Brothers and just
Leonard
Leonard
Skinner,
and
Blackfoot.
They were definitely a guitar band, and they would do 20-minute leads, back and forth between two guitar players.
Marty Smith, why not?
So when Paul had left, they'd asked Jesse Mack to come play, and I'd been running sound for him, and I told him, hey, I know him, he'd do a great job. Well, then they talked me into doing it, so we left Yankee Station for just a little while. I started playing with them for a year.
About a year, yeah.
Because they were sponsored by Jitney Jungle. They had some sponsorships, and so they got T-shirts that they didn't have to buy, and free frisbees they didn't have to buy and stuff like that. They had all the band's logo on it and tie-dye T-shirts.
And we played every event in town.
Every
you name it, we played it.
Yep.
Every cook-off.
Yep. We played Jubilee Jam.
We played Jubilee Jam more than once.
Yeah.
And
opened up for Delbert McClinton.
Opened up for Delbert. Opened up for Black Oak, Arkansas.
Sure did.
Yeah, I've seen every band you played in, Jesse.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, every one of them.
Yeah, we played with them.
I was just a fan. I didn't play anymore. I didn't
I was
play
just
guitar.
a fan, too. That's all I've ever been.
And Marty Smith left he stayed for another 6 months or so, and then Mark Whittington came in and he played with us.
Oh, yeah.
So Mark played with us till the end of that band. And then...
Didn't you go back to Cyrus? Or you had never... I thought you went back to Cyrus. Not Cyrus, Yankee Station.
Yankee Station. I did. Well, we both
Yankee Station.
We both
but
did.
It was a transition where you were with Yankee Station too, but we were both still with Rebos because they had what's his name, Jay. What was it? No, not Jay. Brian's. Yeah, the singer.
Oh, Shannon Lamb.
Shannon Lamb. They had him singing, and then Brian calls me up, or Richie calls me up one day, and Rebos is killing it. Rebos is rolling good. We're a Southern rock band, and who don't like Southern rock?
Right.
So they're doing Allman, like I said, Allman Brothers, ZZ Top, Leonard Skinner, and Richie called me up and said, "Hey man, I know you ain't got anything to do this weekend because I already talked to everybody in Rebos. Our singer just quit on us this morning. Can you come sing for us?" And y'all were doing Daiquiri World in Vicksburg.
I didn't play it. I wasn't with them. You were.
I thought you were.
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I went to a sing.
I never played Daiquiri World.
Okay. I thought you did. So
I didn't even know they had bands.
Yeah. At one time they did. So I went to sing with them. And then it was wherever Rebos wasn't booked, Yankee Station booked. And we went that way for a long time. And then eventually Rebos went back to Yankee Station.
Yeah, I went back to Yankee Station.
And so we both Rebos kind of fell apart. Charlie fell off the wagon. If he was ever on it.
I don't know if that was like it or if all that happened, but it was just time. It ran its course. And David Hasselback came into town, and Bob Mulholland and John Ball started playing with him, and it was Guitar Daddy and the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So they formed that band.
Yeah.
And so since they had that band, Rebos just kind of broke up.
Yeah. So then we wound up back with Yankee Station. And Yankee Station from that point on got better. Just got better. Keith Mills is guitar player. How many times you bailed him out of jail?
No, it was just that one.
Just at one time? Okay. So, but there was no better. Keith
fantastic.
Mills.
Probably the best guitar player I've ever played with. Just fantastic.
Steve Haddad. I mean, he's up there too.
Steve Haddad's up there too.
But the harmonies that we had, and the things that we were doing. The harmonies between Brian and Richie and myself were just Eagles.
Yeah, we
harmony.
did a lot of Eagles. We did Seven Bridges Road.
Seven Bridges Road twice and got standing ovations both times.
And during that time, we opened up for Blue Oyster Cult. I won't talk about that.
No, my God.
Best
Quiet
band
Riot.
we opened up for was Quiet Riot. Man, Rudy Sarzo was so cool.
Joe was.
And him playing with Ozzy and Quiet Riot, I mean, and White Snake. I mean, it was just...
He played with Blue Oyster Cult, too.
Yeah. In fact, I think recently, like
that was
at
Hal and Mouse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. That was when Tony was playing with y'all.
No.
Not that time.
Not that time. No.
Oh, when Queensryche was at Howlin' Mouths? Oh, God.
Not Queensryche.
Not Queensryche, Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Quiet Riot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when Randall Carpenter said something to Kevin DuBrow that just messed him up. And he had that song, Come Feel the Noise. And Randall Carpenter went up to him and goes, man, you're that dude that plays that song, Come Feel My Boys, right before he walked on stage. And, and Kevin DuBrow was like, what in the hell, And that just Randall. Randall just did it. Randall knew what he was doing the whole time. If y'all ever knew Randall Carpenter.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know. I never heard of him.
Oh, shoot, really?
Yeah. Randall was a good guy.
But we opened up for
White Line,
and we opened up for Zebra. Was our first show.
That was the Res Fest, wasn't it?
No, Howlin' Mouse.
Was that Howlin' Mouse too?
Yeah. Got it on.
I was there. I every time Zebra come, I was there. I remember when y'all played. Like
we played on that stage.
Yeah, on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was talking about the one at Res Fest or wherever it was.
That was
we were on,
that was when the.
Oh, that was man, no.
That was when the reporters asked us about the Yankee Station boys.
Yeah, and Mike Bridges introduced us. No, that was Pepsi Pops.
That was Pepsi Pops. That's right.
And
that's right.
Mike Bridges got up there and introduced us as Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, sure did.
Hey, here's Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium.
Hey, well, you know what? We had a band on a month or so ago called Waking Mars. Young guys, really good, and they did a spot on. I guess it was. I can't remember if it was Channel 3 or Channel 12, but it was a morning show thing. And they had them on, did a little interview with them. And, the name of the band is called Waking Mars. And I was watching the show. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. And the graphic come on the screen. And today we've got Waking Mars, but they spelled it waxing.
Waxing Mars. All right.
Oh, my gosh. And it's like, I was heartbroken for them, It was like, wow.
Everybody's like trying to Google waxing Mars and can't find them.
We were called Yankee Stadium a lot.
We hung in there till 2000. We played New Year's Eve.
How do you have a name like Yankee with a name like Yankee in your name and playing Southern rock down here in the
South? We couldn't think of a
South?
name. And Keith Mills.
Nope.
Who was it?
Richard Garrett.
Was it Richard?
Yep. Because military.
Yeah. So on the military. So if this is the definition for sure, I don't know. But what was said was that home base was Yankee Station. So out in the Gulf or out
when
you're
on an aircraft carrier.
When you're an aircraft carrier.
Gotcha.
You'd fly out and you'd call back to Yankee Station.
And so that's why we called ourselves that. We couldn't think of any names or anything.
Come up with anything.
He was military, so he said, let's call us that.
You know what? I remember shooting one of y'all's promo pictures.
Oh, you did?
I forgot all about that, and I just
you did.
That.
And man, we were hard.
You were what?
We were hard. I mean, we had that look on our face.
Oh yeah.
We were that 80s band that was playing in the 90s.
Right.
And we had that look on our face like, don't mess with us.
That's right.
We're very serious.
Look, I am constipated, and I'm just going to stand here until you finish your photo shoot. You hear me? I'm going to stand here and do it. All right.
Or the one downtown where the homeless guy come walking through.
Oh, man, he got in our shoot, too.
He got in our shoot and he goes.
We kept it.
Yeah, that
was a great pick.
He was going to be our mascot.
It was at the King Edward Hotel and the train station.
It was. Yeah,
so the King Edward was still closed down at the time.
Yep.
And the train station was across the street. And the train station was great. We got out on the tracks, got some photos next to some of the, cars.
Yep.
And it was really cool. But yeah, thanks, Kevin, because that was one shoot, and the other shoot was at Mississippi Music, and we put some tarps up, and we had, because Richie and I both worked there, so we could do whatever we wanted to there after hours because we were going to have to move it back.
That was when Tony Pybus was with us.
Tony Pybus was with us then.
Yep.
and he was with us for about a year.
Yeah.
And
Hard to believe he's gone.
I know, man.
Yeah, for real.
Man.
I visited him and Angelique several times in San Antonio because
Did you?
I would travel with my
yeah,
job.
Yeah.
And anytime I was in San Antonio, I just gave him a call and we'd meet up and eat somewhere. And
So we're missing a lot of people.
he was the same
Yeah.
person, man. He
Oh,
never
my gosh.
changed.
Yeah, and we're losing them. It seems like daily.
Man,
Tony
we are.
and Steve and
Yeah.
even Carl Harrell lost his wife, and she was a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
There was a friend of ours in Yazoo City named Jessie. She was one of the two people. Her and Connie used to come out and see us all the time. Her, Connie, and Terry used to come see us all the time. And she woke up one morning and went and then died. Just they said it was adult SIDS. Her body just quit.
Wow.
Never drank, never smoked.
Super nice person.
Super nice
Just
person.
Super person.
Yep.
Wow. You know, we just lost David Barfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
So
when I
Dave
saw that.
Barfield
And now
and
Trey
Trey Emerson. And what's so strange about that, I'd heard that they were living together.
Yeah.
And I play in Fade the Blue now, and we were playing out at Pelican Cove, and Trey was out there, and I sat and talked with Trey in the middle of, after every set. And so we sat and talked the entire time, talked about old days, talked about him and Barfield too.
Wow.
And, to hear that, and David Barfield used to play in Fade the Blue. So, that's, and I've known David since the early days, the Creek days.
He was an unbelievable guitar player.
Fantastic guitar player.
I didn't know much about him. I heard a lot about him, but I never got an opportunity to play with him.
Yeah. It was just strange. I mean, he was like the local Paul Gilbert. I mean, he was just that good.
He played in a couple things. I think he had played with a couple of groups around town that maybe had a couple gigs or something, that they were just trying to build a band and stuff.
Right.
And I think Tony Henson played with him too.
Yeah. I think they did play together.
And so, no, David, fantastic guitar.
Yeah.
But didn't Tony Henson play with Yankee Station at one time?
No,
Tony Pybus.
Tony Pybus did.
Yeah.
Tony Pybus did.
I just remember Tony playing with somebody.
Can we tell a story about Tony?
Pybus or Henson?
Tony
Pybus.
Pybus.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to hear one.
I can tell one story.
but I'm talking about the Marines.
No.
we ain't gonna tell the
Oh,
Marines.
we
We can tell the Marines. Come on,
you
man.
can tell the Marines. I'll tell the other story.
All right, so we're playing at what was that? The
Coliseum Ramada.
no. Ellis Avenue, the hotel. It's
Oh,
burnt down
Ramada?
now. The Ramada.
yeah, but we're playing a private party.
We were
right?
doing a private
Yeah.
party, and we were all setting up, and Tony was getting his gear together, and he'd get his guitar out, and he'd wail on it a little bit, and Tony was doing Tony's thing. Well,
Tony played at one volume. So,
yeah, 11.
Wide open.
11.
Just- yeah.
So what we didn't know was right next door to us, they were having the Marines there. What do they call it? It was some kind of ceremony for elders, for their elder seniors or whatever they were, and they politely come over and say, "Guys, we're trying to do this over here. Would y'all please?"
we don't have much left.
Much longer. We'll would y'all please hold it down? Tony didn't hold it down. Tony cranked it right back up and went right back to what he was
Tony
doing.
didn't give a shit.
No. And they come back over and said, "We've asked you once. We're not going to ask you again." Tony went right out to his car, got his 9mm, come back in and sat down and told them, "Bring them motherfuckers on." Excuse my language, but that's what Tony said.
Yep.
To the Marines.
Oh,
Your turn.
My story is
Did they come back?
No.
Did they know he had the gun?
No.
they talked to Richie.
Yeah, Richie talked to
Yeah,
him.
Richie talked to him, and I mean, I was there, but I didn't.
I didn't hear any of that.
But so, unbeknownst to
Love Tony.
Jesse Mack,
Yeah.
Tony had gotten an Ace Frehley Les Paul, or he was playing that type of Les Paul.
You're going to tell that story.
And he had put
Fireworks.
the little thing that shoots out the fire on the top of his head of the guitar. He said,
Like
"I'm gonna try it out tonight."
Yeah. He tried it out.
And Ace Frehley would shoot, sort of like Roman candles, basically is what it was, and all it was tissue paper or whatever.
Yeah.
But
But it
would
sparkled.
It would shoot it out,
Sparkle.
and it could hit you, but I mean, it just went away.
Okay.
But when you don't know what it is, and it
Exactly.
hits you, And
Howlin'
then
Mouse.
you have to clean your pants.
Howlin' Mouse.
And so we were at Howlin' Mouse playing, and Tony lit it up, and we're just thinking he's just going to throw, light across stage. No.
Nope.
He points it at Jesse Mack and goes, plop, and it shoots out, hits him, it's like, whoa, whoa. First he said shit, and then he did it.
I sure did. I sure did. Scared the hell out of me.
And I mean, we were dying because we knew what it was. I mean,
they're laughing.
We were laughing because we knew what it was, but he didn't. So it was a different reference point. So Jesse's reference point was different than ours. So we
your whole perspective was
it,
different. No, they enjoyed it.
He didn't.
Not at all.
But that was a typical Tony Powers story.
Hilarious. Now.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Now. Well, it was hilarious then. It was just it had to grow on you. Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Right.
Ain't that the truth?
That is very true.
So we're up to Yankee Station, and we played till 98.
No, 2000.
2000.
Because we played New Year's Eve.
Greenville.
Yeah.
Greenville.
Yeah.
Was
Greenville. The Ramada Inn.
Ramada Inn in Greenville. And that was our last show. And we broke up till 2000. We broke up for good. He went with.
So Richie, a couple of years. Richie started playing with Unglued with Chris Blevins.
Right. Oh, and there's another one.
And we lost Chris Blevins here recently too.
Chris Blevins sure did.
Yep.
And so he played with Chris and who else? I was trying to remember the other band members at the time, but so Unglued played for about a year, a little longer, maybe, whatever. And then Richie called me one day and said, "Hey, Unglued isn't anymore, but I've been playing with these guys. Won't you come try out? Because they're about to lose a guitar player." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? They got 3 guitar players. One guitar player sings, and one of them's about to leave, so they need a keyboard player." Well, it's Fade to Blue. And so the story of Fade to Blue is that Curtis Clearman started it back in 1996, and the first guitar player in it was Steve Haddad.
I remember that.
And so Steve Haddad, he played in it first. Simon Williams, was a bass player.
Yep.
He was the first bass player, and then Jim Cobb was the drummer.
I remember coming to...
That's where Jim Cobb played at. I remember him
going
playing.
to the Coliseum Ramada and watching y'all play.
Yeah, when I joined the band, Doug Frank was playing with them.
Doug Frank.
So Doug Frank was playing with them, and Doug was one of the greatest guitar players too. Top
Doug
10
Frank.
in Mississippi for sure. But I mean, he would tell you, he could play lead all day long, but rhythm, he wanted to play lead. So he was leading through the whole thing, and it was great. And when he started playing with Yankee Station, when he started playing with Fade to Blue, he had a call and to start playing, his shows and the blues stuff and all that, in town. And so he said, "Hey guys, I'm going to start doing this, And so they hired me to kind of take up for all that extra playing, so I could hold the chords down while guitarists could play over it. And David Barfield was in the band, and so it was me, Richie, David Barfield, Simon Williams, and Curtis Clearman. And so that was in 2002, and I'm still with them today. And Richie was with us until 2000. Well, so to his story, Yankee Station
reformed.
Almost reformed. It was almost complete. It wasn't complete.
That's about when you come down to the shop and talk to Charlie and you're looking for a guitar player.
Yeah, exactly.
And I played, but I was like, no, I remember this guy. I remember the bands he's been in. I'm not quite at that level, Charlie. I can't join these guys.
Well, I'd found a bass player, and I can't remember the guy's name, and he invited me over to his place, and I'd work with him for a couple of shows, and in walks this little young 18-year-old guitar player with his girlfriend carrying a board that was 2.5 foot wide by 7 foot long. She had one end, he had the other, and there's all his effects pedals on the board. and it was Rodney Canoy, who plays with Burnham Road now.
Right. Yeah, I know Canoa.
Okay, so he had this board that big, and I said, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of all that." And he said, "No, I got to have all this." I said, "No. I'm gonna get you with people who's gonna show you what you need."
Right.
So we left that band, and a guy named Keith Young was the drummer. You don't know him, I don't think. He's in Austin, Texas now, doing real good. So I got Rodney, and I talked Brian coming over, and I got Rodney, Brian, Keith, and myself in my house, and we were jamming. And that was kind of the reformation, Yankee Station 2.0. And we kind of rolled with that. Rodney knew a keyboard player. What was the guy's name?
The
Keyboard
Randy
player.
Hux.
Randy Hux was the keyboard player. And so that was kind of Yankee Station 2.0. And Keith was
Good player.
he was a good drummer, but he was a blues drummer. And he even took lessons to learn how to play rock and roll. And it just he couldn't keep up. I mean, they're not saying he could, but it just wasn't where he wanted to be. Things didn't work out for him here, so he moved to Austin, Texas. And like I said, he's doing great. And then Brian talked Richie to come in and sit in with us a while. And then they
And Richie was playing in two bands,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it came to be that whoever booked the gig first was where Richie would play. And so they were booking more than we were at the time, or quicker than we were at the time. Not more necessarily, about the same.
about the
It
same.
was just quicker, and so he started playing those. We'd have to find a drummer every time. So finally, he finally just quit altogether, and we got Joe Egerton from out of Meridian. And so then Richie played with y'all.
Yeah.
So that was more of Yankee Station because there was 3 members from Yankee Station in it now.
Yeah. And we rolled.
And they had asked me, by the way. I mean,
I'd asked you a couple times.
I just want to say that I was asked. It was just I felt an obligation because I was still in a band,
Right.
and I don't like burning bridges or anything.
Right.
And I really want to play with them. It wasn't.
And it's not like they're
Don't
doing
count.
today where, Ricky will go play over here tonight and tomorrow he goes play with somebody else. We weren't like that.
It was still
It
bands.
it was still
Like y'all were
bands.
talking about.
Yeah, we were with this band. We weren't playing anywhere else.
Yeah, if you played with one band, you stayed with
You
that
stayed
band.
there. And we asked Ricky a few times and he was loyal to
And I filled in. Randy would be stuck out of town sometimes and
yeah.
couldn't play, so I'd
Yeah.
still filled in, and I'd still come see him. When I wasn't playing or if I was off, so it wasn't any hard feelings.
No.
I don't think.
No. And Yankee Station rolled till 2013. We went from 2007 to 2013. And it just got to be too much politics for me and Richie. And we love everybody in the band. We had a great time. I want to say thank you to everybody who supported me and Ricky through the years, and Richie and Brian and Keith Mills and the people who came out to support us. Thank y'all very much for spending your time with us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
So now we're up to 2013, and you're still rolling on.
I'm still with Fade to Blue. We just played Ameristar week before last. Our lineup now it changes all the time. We've gone through a lot of drummers more than I guess guitar players because we only have one guitar player now. And like I said, David Barfield was in the band, and then he quit around 2010. And then so now our lineup is Shannon Gorey from Morrison Brothers Music.
I know Shannon.
Shannon plays.
Absolutely.
He's our drummer. We got Gary Grantham, who used to play with. He used to play at Pops, and what was that band that Bucky Owens played in, and Mark. As soon as we talk about something else, I'll remember.
Yeah.
Went
But-
Silverado.
No, Silverado.
Yeah.
So-
God, that's
Silverado.
another band. I don't-
Southern Steel. Southern
Okay,
Steel.
good.
That's who he played in. Southern Steel. Silverado was the house band, but he played in Southern Steel. And Gary's a great guy. He writes a lot of songs too. But Curtis Clearman is a guitar player, and now we have a female singer, Charlotte Johnson, and she's from Meridian, and she's got she's played around for years and everything, and I don't know. We're the first band she's played with on this side. She's done everything else in Meridian, and so we've been together since COVID.
Oh.
So we put it together 2019, 2020.
But y'all get stuck in a house together and just can't get away from each other during COVID?
No, it was, you know how bands get. It's like, okay, we don't have anything to do, so let's just practice. But then, you know, my arthritis acts up, and then I have to get out of bed, and it's like, you know, oh gosh, we were talking earlier, being old sucks. We didn't know it when we were young.
Oh yeah.
Well, like I said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken a lot better care of myself.
Yeah, I never really thought I'd make it this far.
Me neither.
But look at us now.
Yeah.
But Ricky was with Fade to Blue, so I did what I could to try to put stuff together, and it just never worked. I couldn't get anything to pan out. It's kind of like, you know, once you've been with the quality of people that I've been with, and I just couldn't find anything. And 2017 rolled around, and I'm on Facebook. And why are you laughing? I'm on Facebook.
I know what's coming.
And it was around December or so, and I'm just texting back and forth, and Kevin pops up, and we just kind of back and forth. And I said, "Man, you're one of the guys that I wish I could have an opportunity to play with." And Kevin popped back, "Well, you dead yet?"
Yeah, and I said that as a joke. I really wasn't thinking we were going to do anything. Man, I hadn't played since 2000.
And Kevin's had not played in 17 years.
Oh, I know, because I'd go up there to DeVille Camera and I'd ask him all the time, "When you going to get back in?" I'm like,
I'm done.
"Oh, come on, man."
So
people's asking.
So he was with DeVille Camera, and that's where he was going to be.
But you know, it takes the right people to get you wanting to do it again.
And I texted him and I said, well, I got a practice room. He said, okay. So we got Richard Garrett, Chuck Yeager, Christian Noel Yeager.
Yeah, everybody knows him as Noel.
Noel Yeager. So he's been around forever too, because he was back. He was around in the days when Charades was around.
Oh yeah,
all those days.
I played with him in Abbey Harlot.
Abbey Harlot. So he's been around. He's a bass player.
Abbey Harlot.
I know you're talking about.
So he's a hell of a bass player. Great guy.
He's a killer, man.
Killer bass player. So it was.
I think who he plays with now.
Nobody. He's living in Michigan.
Yeah,
he's living in Michigan.
He got married and he's
moved
done,
to Michigan.
I think.
No, he's not done. He's still playing. Me and Kevin and Richard Garrett and Noel Yeager all go to my house. And we practice and we practice and we practice and we practice and we practice.
And man, it sucked at first.
It's horrible.
Oh, it was terrible.
You needed keyboards.
Yeah.
Well, we needed a lot.
We needed a lot.
But none of us had played well.
No.
Me and Jesse hadn't.
Hadn't.
Yeah. Noel hadn't either.
Yeah, no, he hadn't. I run into Noel at a Kroger unloading a bread truck. That's what he was doing, a bread truck run. So we all get together, we jam and 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 jam.
But it started getting better.
It started getting better, and we got enough songs together that we could probably do a show. And was that when Richard went to Pops and said, "Oh, we want to play," and didn't ask us? He booked the show.
Yeah, booked the show.
We were nowhere close to being ready.
No. So we had to scrounge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but we did Pops. And
we pulled it off.
We pulled it off, and it was good. It was good. And then we did the Creek reunion at the Hideaway.
Right. Yeah. That was good.
And you can see it online too.
I showed up, like, I got to see y'all's last song.
You took pictures of me. And I've got those pictures.
Yeah.
Love those pictures. Great pictures.
Yep.
So, and that's the first time I met.
I didn't know what I was doing back then.
Blondie. First time I met Rolanda. Oh, excuse me, Thelma and Louise. So anyway, we did that show and we came off like gangbusters. I mean, we
killed
rocked the house.
We killed it.
And we were headed in the right direction. And that's when the hurricane hit Florida. I don't remember which one it was, but the one that was devastated Florida.
Yeah.
So Richard, we had shows booked, and Richard said, "Hey man, I got to go do this insurance thing. I'll be back." He decided he needed to go do this insurance thing.
Yeah, he needed a job.
He had to go to Alabama to get his license, and then he was going to go to Florida and do the insurance thing on all the devastation that was down there.
Right.
And we had shows. We had already booked Shuckers. We were booked at Shuckers.
Right.
Oh man, I could just come back. I can do it. No, we're not going to do that.
No.
We needed to be prepared for Shuckers.
Right.
And he wasn't going to do it. And then we pulled another drummer in. And this is the part that I'm wish I hadn't have done, or we hadn't have done, because that band would have been really, really, really good today if we would have stuck together.
Oh, could you imagine?
So if you go back and listen to the videos, or watch the videos and listen to the sound that we did at the Kreaux reunion that time, just listen. It was phenomenal. We got a message from Noel after we got rid of Richard. We all got over that, and we got another drummer. And then we got a message from Noel, and I hate this shit. I hate myself today for this shit, that his mom had passed. The woman who raised him wasn't his mom, but the woman who raised him. And I understand this because I was adopted too. He said, "Guys, I don't know," something to the effect that I don't know when I'm going to be able to practice again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was something like that.
And we brought in
Brad Caraway
in that time frame, September of 2018. I get a phone call from Brian Jones, the Brian Jones that Brian Jones here in Jackson.
Right.
Said, "Hey, Jesse Mack, Steve Blaze wants to talk to you." What Steve Blaze want to talk to you about? He said, "Just give him a call." I said, "All right." So I call Steve Blaze. Steve Blaze says, "Jesse Mack, I've got another band besides Lillian Axe that I'd like for you to come down and audition for." "Oh, okay. Well, send me a song list." He said, "Okay." He sent me 30 fucking songs that I didn't know but 2 of them. I don't do that stuff. It's not my thing. So I told him, I said, "Dude, I don't know hardly any of these." He said, "I just pick you out a couple of them, come on down." So I went down, and it's Steve Blaze, Michael Max of Lillian Axe, Guy Gelso of Zebra, the drummer for Zebra, and Joe Kaluta of Pegasus from back in the day. These are top-notch guys.
Right.
I went down with 15 songs that I learned from September the 4th to October the 8th. Learned them. Didn't know them. Learned them. And got down there and had my book with me. And when they said, "Are you ready?" I went, closed my book, set it down, said, "Yep." And Guy Gasso said, "That's all I needed."
That was a good move.
He said, "You didn't open your book every time." I said, "Nope."
Right. That's a good
If
move.
you're going to be a professional, you don't need he said, "Jesse, you wouldn't understand how many people is coming in here with their iPads or their iPhones reading words and can't even read them off the iPad." So I went down and I auditioned for them. And I told Steve then
Nice
that night, I said, "Steve, I'm not what you're looking for." He said, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." So I worked with Sledgehammer for 2 years, and it was back and forth. I had Kreaux up here, which we still were cooking.
Yep, I remember that.
And I had Sledgehammer down there. And I was driving my 18-wheeler during the week, and I was getting in my Mustang and driving down the coast to New Orleans on the weekends if I wasn't playing up here. Love those guys. I appreciate Steve, Michael Max, and Guy Gelso and Joe Kaluta for allowing me to play with them.
Thanks, Brian Jones, for getting you that gig too.
Well, Brian didn't get me the gig.
Okay,
he got me the phone number.
Got you the phone number.
So, and here's what I wanted to say about that. I got in the room with Michael Max, and Michael Max said, "I got you this gig." He said, "Me and Carolyn, his wife, were sitting up on the balcony watching us do our sound check." He said, "When y'all played, I watched you." He said, "I knew you were the one we were looking for."
Nice.
So I appreciate Brian getting
So
me
he
the phone
stole
number.
my singer.
He didn't steal me. I didn't go anywhere.
I know. I'm just kidding.
But
we became friends with those guys
Oh,
because
yeah.
of this.
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And we got gigs down in New Orleans too.
Yeah.
We played
and we
the
played a
Hurricanes.
show with Mike.
With Mike, sure did.
Danny.
Yep. Danny King, the original drummer from Lillian Axe.
Yeah, man, that was a fun show.
Oh man.
That was a fun show.
And what it was Guy was moving on back to Zebra because they tour in New York in that area in a specific time frame, and so they brought in Who'd you say the drummer was?
Danny?
Danny King.
Yeah.
The original drummer for Lillian Axe. So it's all of Lillian Axe I'm playing with now.
Right.
Right. Plus a guy named Josh LaRose,
Right.
who is a hell of a guitar player. Young kid. Hell of a guitar player. Josh LaRose is a bad mofo. But yeah, I toured. I not toured. I run with those guys for a while, for 2 years. Had a great time. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Yeah, I remember when you gave me the phone call.
Yeah,
And
I hated that.
Was trying to explain, and I'm thinking, on one hand, I'm like, okay, so these top notch guys are going to take my singer, so I'm mad.
Yeah,
Not mad, but I'm like, crap.
yeah. We've worked this hard for so long.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, I'm like, well, that just shows what I'm playing with. I'm playing with a good one.
Well,
and
what they didn't understand too was 2 weeks prior to our first show, and my first show was New Year's Eve, 2018. 2 weeks prior to that, I had pneumonia. I come down with pneumonia, and I didn't have my full lung capacity.
Oh no, you're not.
So I finally got over that, barely got over that, did the show New Year's Eve, and that was in January. And then we had a show again in February. I came down with the flu. So I haven't been right since. And I think that has a lot to do with what's going on, but it didn't help any.
Right.
It didn't help any because I couldn't hit the notes that I needed to hit. I did what I could, as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And they understood and they stood by me, and it just got too much for me to drive back and forth, and it just got too much. Oh, in the meantime, we were doing a show, and a Guy Gelso prodigy, who is BJ from Nashville South, the drummer for Nashville South, had come to a show, and we became pretty decent friends. And I told her, just being cocky, I said, well, if you ever needed somebody to sing country for you, you just give me a call. I can sing country. She said, okay. 3 weeks later, she sent me a song list.
Oh, no.
She said, the show's over here. Come on. And yeah, she sent me a song list. And it was fun because they had a female singer. They've got a female singer. And all they wanted me to do was like 4 or 5 songs per set.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of stand there and go, hey, it's a female singer. Hey, y'all look at her. Don't look at me, look at her. And that's all I did. And I had a great time with Nashville South. BJ, thank you very much.
Cool.
Holly, hello. And
yeah, you were burning yourself out.
I did. And it was Kreaux. It was Sledgehammer. It was Nashville South.
And unfortunately, Kreaux wasn't able to get a whole lot of gigs around here.
No.
I mean, I think there's several reasons. One, I think everybody thought we were really heavy, which we really wasn't.
Nope.
Not really.
Nope.
We're probably on the heavier side.
Heavier side.
But we were not like a heavy metal band. And I think a lot of people thought that. And then it was kind of a clique and at that time that we were not really a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
We were scheduled to play Shuckers. We finally got a date with Shuckers. And then fucking COVID hits.
Yep.
And the day we're supposed to play Shuckers, everything shuts down.
Everything. I mean, you're everybody's staying home. Nobody's going anywhere. You're not allowed to leave your house.
I was actually on the road with Pop Fiction when that happened in Florida, and we come back and everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we felt like we were finally fixing to break through the area.
Yep.
And get to play and show people what we could do.
Yeah.
And then
COVID.
And everything shuts down the weekend we were playing.
Yep.
And that just kind of did it for us.
Yep.
At that time anyway.
Yep.
And, I think when that happened, you finally were like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yep.
I've had enough.
Yep.
And you just quit everything.
I did. I was having some health issues that I needed to attend to that I'd let go for so long. Issues with my neck. My fingers are numb to this day. I'm having issues with a sciatic nerve down the right side of my leg. And this has been going on since 94, my fingers.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I said, 2006, I had 5 and 6.
Okay.
Done.
They told me in 2004 is 3 and 4.
Okay.
And I didn't do it, and I should have.
Yeah.
So I put it off until Blondie said, we've had enough. You're going to get something done. So I went and had neck surgery, C3 and C4, and they told me a year. But what I didn't quite understand, he told me you're going in here, you're going to do C3 and C4. But then he tells me, yeah, we moved your esophagus over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. He said, it's going to take you a while to get your vocals back. He said, if you get them back.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at. And that's why I'm done.
Yeah.
You know,
Mine.
I can do some. Lonnie will tell you, hey, you can sing. No, I can't sing like Jesse can sing.
Right.
Well, I can't hit the higher notes. Go ahead.
And here's kind of the story. All right. So you left, when COVID
Right.
and all that. And, I thought, I'm thinking, Kreaux's done,
Well, I want to add too on to that, because I know where you're going with this. When I went with Sledgehammer, I wanted Bethany in the band. I called Lisa Pyron to get her phone number, and Lisa said, "Oh no, she's done. She's done. She's not going to sing no more." I wanted her to take my place in Kreaux. So now you can go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, see, I didn't know any of that. Several months went by, and
Yeah.
We didn't do anything, and I just assumed Kreaux was done. And just kind of one day, me and Brad started talking about, the stuff, and we're like, well, let's do something. And we tried to put something together with some other people, and it just didn't work out. And I started telling him, I was like, you know what? There's no reason we can't just put Kreaux back together, our own version, another version of Kreaux. Let's find another singer. I don't care if it's a man, a girl, it doesn't matter to me. Let's see if we can find somebody. And I was talking to Misty, Jason and Missy, but or Misty, who is with Alter Ego, the singer for Alter Ego. And I actually talked to her about, possibly coming and jamming with us. And she's like, well, I got so much going on, but I know somebody. And it was Bethany. I was like, well, get her in touch with me if she's interested. And so Bethany, we ended up talking to Bethany, and Bethany came on board, and Kreaux started rolling, not long afterwards.
Yep.
And we rolled for a couple of years with Bethany.
Yep. Did good.
Yeah, we did really good.
Had a really good following. Every time I'd see y'all somewhere, whether y'all, where I was working at Ameristar or wherever, but everybody had shirts, half, and people like that, like the guys down there at Ameristar, they were talking about the guys, all the upper level people coming in there looking, checking over the bar and stuff, but they love to see that, because that's a whole bunch of people that's not the regulars that's coming in there. Y'all always brought a crowd. You always had the numbers too.
Yeah.
The only band that beat y'all out was Dr. Czar.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And
That's saying something.
Yeah. And y'all were the top one, Yeah, y'all.
So it was Dr. Czar,
Kreaux,
and then who?
Then like Hurricane or Pop Fiction.
Really?
They were, neck and neck with each other.
So you brought the drinkers and the partiers. So you brought the crowd and
so basically we were the alcoholic band.
Yeah, you brought the alcoholics.
Now, Dr. Czar, the first time I did a Dr. Czar show there was not a place to put a beer bottle down after the show. They sold tons of beer.
I was gonna say they do a great job. Packing the place.
But like I said, Kreaux, y'all had the numbers, man.
Wow.
The numbers, the people, the shirts, everything was there.
Wow.
The whole 9 yards. I mean, Cam and I were literally heartbroken when we got the news.
I was heartbroken. That's a long story that
I still am.
No, I'd never air what went on. I mean, it wasn't just terrible, but I'm the one that shut the band down at that particular time.
Yeah, and
there was a lot of reasons. Lots of reasons.
Yeah, and that's when I started talking to Kevin again.
Yeah.
And me and Kevin got together again. And what it was I went up to see him where he was working with Brad.
Mm-hmm.
And TJ, and what was the bass player's name?
Clint.
Clint. Clint was from.
Who Clint is now also playing. Yeah, he's becoming a Clayton Pell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's now playing with Hurricane.
Okay, I thought that was just.
He is.
I thought
They just announced that.
A short thing.
And you said Clayton Pell. Clayton did make it on a show
he
tonight.
Made the show. I cannot believe it.
Clayton made the show again.
God,
so
I didn't even mean that.
Don't edit it.
I didn't mean that to happen.
So
I did. I'm glad I brought it up now.
Clint and TJ were here, and I came over. I told Kevin I'd come over and keep them warm till they found a singer. I knew that was wrong.
Right.
He's good at that. We rode in a band together all the way to
Yeah,
Shreveport.
but see, I knew what was going to happen.
So me and Kevin,
I thought I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, jump on in there.
And
He
I
knew
kept
what was
looking
going-
into his
he
eyes,
knew-
and I was like,
Yeah, he kept looking into my eyes. All right, Like, yeah, big boy. Yeah. So anyway, that was rich. So anyway, me and Kevin and Clint and TJ worked for a while, and then we got what's the name of that band?
Kreaux?
Kevin. Clint's band.
Oh, Patchwork.
We got brought their drummer in.
Yeah, Brian
and
Adams.
Brian
Adams.
Robbins.
I was wondering what happened to Brian Adams.
Yeah. He's a drummer now.
He's a Canadian.
So, and that's when the last bit of Kreaux and my last stint was, and we did
one show.
one show
At the Biscuit Company?
at the Biscuit Company.
And I saw the last song there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We had a tribute act, and they ended early, and I was able to run over there real quick and caught the last show, and I got to shake Jesse's hand on stage.
And we got to.
I would never shake his hand after he gets on stage.
It's when I come off stage. When I come off stage,
I would never.
You just don't know where that hand's been.
I mean, no, I know where it's
he
been.
knows
That's
where
why I
it's
said
been.
no.
That's why
I won't
it's
shake
all-
his hand.
That's why
Anyway.
he won't shake his hand.
It'd have been really nice if somebody would have told me.
No,
These are things you have to learn.
Yeah, you have to learn on your own.
Padawan, you learn these things as you grow up.
You'd think I would.
Sort of like going snipe hunting.
Oh, what? That,
He's been there.
I didn't find any snipe.
So anyway, that was my last show, and after that is when I had the neck surgery, and that's when everything is just for me. It's done. I'm done.
mm-hmm.
And like I said,
Well, I mean, you didn't say, okay, I'm done at that particular time. You're like, I'm gonna need some time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, that's fine. We'll do what we got to do. And time went by, and then you were like, it's just not coming back.
it's not coming back.
It's not coming back.
Nope.
And he was like, just do what you got to do. Do what you want to do.
Do what you got to do because I'm done.
Yep.
I just
Well, mine didn't come back. I struggled for a long time, and then one day, like I said, I did that little thing with Pop Fiction and got up there and sang one song with them, and you definitely don't go past where you can't go no more with it, because it's just not there.
Nope.
It's just not there at all. I mean, you'll go there.
my ACDC is gone.
Yeah.
And that's sad because that's one of your best things, man.
You know,
That
back
was
in the
one that always
day,
got me.
back in the day when
I'm like,
we were
I'm
playing
with
together.
fucking Bon Scott tonight.
I was gonna say it was Bon Scott. So any Bon Scott song, it was like he nailed it. He was never, not saying he was never a Brian Johnson fan, but
Can't do it.
he was definitely
Can't do
a
it.
Bon
He
Scott
was all
fan.
Bon Scott. Like I say, I think we were talking out in the green room that the first time I jammed with you, and you were like, we were trying to figure out what to play.
Yeah.
And I think I may have said, one of us said, do you know some AC/DC? And I'm like, well, we can do, I don't know, Highway to Hell or whatever it was. And, as soon as you started singing, I damn near wanted to stop playing because I was just like, is this Bon Scott? I was like, holy cow.
Rich Hall tells the best story of this when you guys were playing at Town Creek Saloon, and we hadn't started playing yet as Cyrus, but we went to watch you guys play, and Todd was on stage and handed me the mic.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And y'all were doing
Probably Dirty
Deeds.
Yeah.
And I took that microphone, and Todd never gave me the mic again. Never gave me the mic again. But you could see Mike White turn around and go, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Because he had to pull stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah. You should have been at that time, at least back then. I mean, you can still do it today. I mean, you still sound a lot like him.
Not
And just
anymore.
an older Bon Scott.
Uh-uh.
But back then,
Yeah, the dead one.
Golly.
okay,
Damn.
whatever.
Damn.
No, the vocal cords are a little aged.
But,
Just
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's
dead.
just an older Bon Scott. I mean,
Little rigor mortis in there, ain't
little fermentation.
I sound more like Brian Johnson now.
But if tribute acts would have been a thing back then, you would have been
Oh, he-
the
Oh, man.
He could have been on a
AC/DC
cruise
guy.
ship. He could have been on a cruise ship.
Oh, yeah.
He could have been right there on a cruise ship.
There was nobody
Singing.
who could do that shit better
Thank you.
and sound like that.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I tried to sound like everybody I sang like.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to imitate everybody that I did.
I like your Pat Benatar.
I do real good Pat Benatar.
I always tried
You're
to.
small.
And I always failed
frame,
miserably.
No titties. You know,
Got everything.
why are you shaking your head over there?
Who's shaking their head? We have a studio audience tonight. Y'all can make noise for this. Well, they can't hear me.
No.
No, they can't hear you.
Yeah. Well, you can tell them y'all can make some noise for just 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Hey,
y'all
don't say that to them. I mean, that's not nice.
Anybody want to
That was-
announce who's
that
in the
was
studio
very-
audience?
we lost one on
That
where
was
she
very
go.
rude.
Well,
One went
I kind
outside.
of did when I was pointing and said that's when I met Londi at Town Creek Union.
Well,
She's
may be-
gone.
That
So we
may
got-
be when I went to make
got-
another drink.
Londi, we got Kim, and we got
Wendy.
Wendy, yeah, Wendy. That's
Yeah, you know what? And I beat her husband to the punch on that one.
You beat her husband.
And we've
you beat her husband.
yeah.
And we
I
punched
haven't-
Yeah, you did.
No.
I haven't
Husband.
technically beat her
Husband.
husband, but I beat him to the punch. And you're like going, and we've
Let's see
also
it.
got and then he says nothing, and I'm like, Wendy.
Right. No, I'm letting him go. I mean, he's doing this thing.
He's
he
talking
is-
about Kevin.
He is a
talking
singer,
about Kevin.
right? He's the LSD singer. So
LSD singer. What'd you say?
He's like,
did I say that? out
no,
loud?
he's like,
LSD.
no, he's like Sweet Sweet Connie doing her act. He's doing his act.
I used to give Wendy all kind of hell, only because I love you.
Yeah, but what'd you do for Ricky?
All kind of hell.
Love me more.
But Jennifer. Oh my goodness, me and Jennifer like brother and sister. Brian Jones's wife. Love that woman to death. But boy,
I was
she
sitting
loved to
thinking,
hate
who are
me.
you talking about?
yeah, I know. She loved to hate me.
There's that bottom lip that would just turn up whenever
Yeah.
she get mad at you.
Oh my goodness.
Is he still on the coast?
Yes, he is. He's working for NASA now.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because he was
Dennis-
working with like Rich on, or
Yeah.
at least the same company.
Yeah, his son is
forever.
working. His son took his place.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's working for Stennis Space.
Space Center.
Yeah, he had an idea because
Space station?
he was saying that he could do something to get a rocket to the sun, but they were just going to go at night, and they hired him on the spot.
When they turned the sun off,
They were going.
Yeah.
They hired him on the
he
spot.
had an
so,
idea. Yeah.
Hey, kudos, Brian Jones, man, you nailed it. I mean, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk
just,
it?
Just go to the sun at night.
Just go at
Just
night.
go at night.
Why can't you just go at night?
So you spell
just
thunk,
that simple.
THUNK.
It's a conjugated adjective.
Wow, that was you took a lot of English, didn't you?
Yes, he did.
He got it out too. That's
No,
really nice.
I'm a plethora of useless knowledge.
Wow.
I know a little bit about everything, jack of all trades. Like I'm not a keyboard player. I just play some keyboard sometimes.
But
Well,
you got
but here's
the
the thing.
name for it though. It's like
you
Billy
beat me to
Strings or
You beat me to
Ricky
that.
Keys.
Ricky Keys.
On
I'm a-
keyboard.
And I'm adopted too, so
I've been thinking that for
was
years. I was like, Ricky was born with the right name.
Exactly.
I am William Williams.
You didn't even have to tell me what he played.
you're
It's like,
Kevin
yeah,
Burns.
Kevin Burns.
Kevin
You're Kevin
Burns.
Burns.
Y'all heard the story on that one, didn't you?
yes. That's
I know
hilarious.
you did, Scott.
Yeah, that's
No, I
hilarious.
have. I don't know that I have.
Okay, well this is all right. This
Y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to the bathroom.
all right. So all right, this is in the Rocksha days.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lillian X was huge.
Yep.
All right, now think about
Huge.
this. Huge. Lillian X was huge, and Stevie Blaze.
Stevie Blaze, Nunemeyer.
No, think about that, Stevie Blaze. So I thought, man, I think this is going to be funny. I'll be Kevin Burns.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of people were laughing, but Mike White, Mike White who ran sound for us and y'all and everybody else, he thought my real name was Burns for years. Years. I'm like talking
years,
maybe decades.
Just recently he found out.
Yeah, well, so it's like it was just kind of a joke, and it stuck.
It stuck. I remember.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
most
his
definitely.
name's not Burns.
Yeah,
yeah. There were some people that knew,
but well, I was gonna say, I mean, there's a lot of people who didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
There's probably people looking for me on Facebook.
Kevin Burns.
One little nugget. Cyrus did 2 or 3 covers of Lillian Axe tunes.
I watched one the other night.
That was I can't
Dream
say
of a
that
lifetime.
I can't say that nobody else did it at the time. It was just I remember.
King's X too.
Yeah, we did a King's X one.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah,
sure
and
did.
I remembered, and we were playing as Yankee Station at that Cowboys. The
Oh yeah,
Cowboys place.
Yeah.
Up in North Jackson,
Yeah.
that huge club.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so we were up there, and we were going to open up for Lillian Axe and
Axe.
Circle of Light
Uh-huh.
because that was Steve's bands, and so we were up there.
Wait, was both those bands going to
Yeah.
play?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lillian and Circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Johnny Vines was in Circle of Life.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought that's kind of strange that he would do both.
Well, he did it for the draw too. I bet. You know what I mean?
But I mean, was it 2 separate acts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 2 separate
Yeah.
times. So think of it as an hour for this, an hour for this, and an hour for this, or an hour and a half for
Right.
this.
Right.
And that was his new band, and so they were the
Yeah.
headliner,
Right.
And so nobody was in there other than workers, when we were getting sound check, and Mike White was running sound in there, and so we were getting sound check and everything, and so Mike said, "Hey, it's time for keys." I said, "Okay." So I started playing "Nobody Knows" by Lillian Axe. And I was just playing it. Well, I'm sorry. I was playing Journey.
I'm sitting here thinking, how do you do Nobody Knows?
No,
They
I'm
didn't have a keyboard player.
no. I'm gonna tell you.
Let him get there.
So we did that because we didn't have a 12 string, and so Keith would play a guitar along with me, and if we played the song or whatever, and Steve Haddad played along with me, and so that way he didn't have to switch guitars. I could play it. I had some decent sounds at the time for that time. I want to say it that way because it got better, of course. And so I was warming up, and I was doing some Faithfully or something, just some piano to hear one keyboard, and then my other keyboard was a synth keyboard. So he goes, "All right, play your synth." And I looked up, and Steve Blaze was walking across the place. He was going back to the green room or whatever. So as he's walking, I just started playing Nobody Knows. He was like, "Hey, that's all right." So at least he looked at me.
Well, that's like when we were doing St. Patty's Day parade,
Oh yeah.
and Kevin DeBrell come walking out with Tiana, and Steve and Keith broke out with "Come On, Feel the Noise."
Yeah.
And he turned around and went, "Yeah, all right."
Opening up for Quite Right was really fun.
It really was.
I mean, just all of them. Now, Kevin didn't spend any time with us.
No.
Barely said hello. But Rudy Sarzo did. Frankie Benally
did.
Oh, and here's a story about Frankie Benally. So we opened up for Quite Right.
Yep.
And they don't have a keyboard player. So my hero there was Rudy Sarzo. I've just always been a Rudy fan. I'm not a bass player, but I just always liked him.
You gotta like Rudy.
He would lick his bass. You know what I mean? While he was playing, he would lick his
Cool
bass.
can you be, yeah?
That's right.
And so
White Snake,
me and Richie
bass.
had been talking about it all week. Man, we get to meet Rudy Sarzo and Frankie Benally. And Richie started playing drums because of Frankie Benally. Well, that was one of the people why he started playing.
Yeah.
And so he was telling me, "Man, I can't wait." And I said, "I can't either." So we had kind of teamed up because we worked together in Mississippi Music. So we just talked all day about it. We were little schoolgirls, And we got up there and we met Carlos Cavazo. Isn't it Carlos Cavazo?
Mm-hmm.
The guitar player. He was a nice guy. I mean, he didn't hang out with us. But,
Real quiet.
And Frankie came in, and Richie was like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah." And so I kind of hung out there. So I was right there with him. And Rudy came in, and they had rented our equipment to play on. So to where they didn't have to bring any of their stuff in. They used Richie's drums and was going to play on the bass equipment and the guitar equipment.
Yep.
But Peavy was a sponsor of Rudy Sarzo. And so since he was one of their clinicians and everything, they had brought a new amp out just for him. So he didn't get to play on Brian's stuff. And so they were over there checking it out, and Rudy was studying it, and he had bifocals on. I mean, he had his glasses on. I was like, and I looked at Richie, and we were both just so sad. It's like, our heroes are getting old, and he's looking, and we could hear him a little bit, because we were, I mean, the stage at Howlin' Miles, it was big, but it wasn't huge, right? And so we were right there in the middle, and so we heard him, and he was like, okay, that knob, can you turn that knob there and do this? And I was like, oh gosh, I think I don't think this is the Rudy we used to get, Richie. And he goes, I know, man. Love Rudy. So we played. Then we got off the stage. They got up there and played. He came out in this white jumpsuit type thing. Man, he jumped out there, started licking his bass, doing everything, and me and Richie looked at each other like, all was right with the world.
He's a performer.
And then so Frankie had played on Richie's drums. So after the show, we got up there, and Richie and Frankie apparently, they were real good friends in life. And
Were they
bandmates, right? Huh?
Wait, Richie and Frank.
So sorry. Rudy and Frankie were friends in real life.
I thought you meant Ricky.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when at the end of the show, and we were getting our stuff and everything, I mean, the band stayed and talked to us, or I'm sorry, Rudy and Frankie started talking to us, and we were talking about how good it was. Man, y'all rocked. They were giving us. And he said, Richie, I broke one of your cymbals, man. And I was standing right there when all this went down, so it's like a part of history, it's like, go on MTV.
I was like, well, you got to sign that motherfucker.
And Richie goes, that's okay. He goes, man, I will buy you another one. I promise, because I'm endorsed by them, and I will get you another one. He said, Frankie, just sign it. And you don't have to. He said it was beat up before you got it. And I mean, I thought it was going to break on me. You were the one that got lucky. So he signed it and gave it to Richie. And then me and Richie were just talking to him, never looking at it, but never reading it. So after he left, Richie was just, in hog heaven, he's looking at it, and he was like, oh man, read it. And it said, hey, Richie, thanks for all the drum lessons. Thanks for all the drum lessons. Keep rocking.
Wow.
Frankie Vanelli.
Wow. How cool.
So I just thought that
sadly,
was
we've
really
lost
cool.
Frankie,
And we have. In fact, we lost Frankie in August and lost Richie in October.
Was it the same year?
The same year.
Oh my gosh.
And in fact, I know that because I'm friends with Rudy on Facebook, and he put a a good thing out there, and just so happened that year Richie had wished me happy birthday in August, and it was right after Frank Vanelli died. In fact, when he died, I texted him. I said, hey, have you heard? He said, yeah. And he had put on Facebook how long we'd been friends and playing everywhere from Memphis to New Orleans and everything, and we need to write that book one day that we always talked about writing, little anecdotes.
Yeah.
And then he passed away. So he passed away October 4th.
Well, I remember Jesse calling me, and he was like, man, did you hear? And I'm like, are you talking about? Well, actually, I don't remember if I knew at the time, but Jesse told me, Richie, had been killed.
That was a hard one.
Yeah. It was real hard.
And I was like, I honestly don't remember if I already knew or not. You may remember if I knew.
No.
But I remember you calling me and asking me, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Did I call you?
No. Angie called me.
Okay, because we talked after, because I had called.
And I immediately called you.
Yeah.
And then I called Brian Jones. Immediately called him. But Angie called me, and by the time I got in my car and got over there, there was a crowd of folks there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Man, we lose some good ones way too soon.
Really do.
As you get older, you really need to stop and think and tell the ones that you love them, because, we ain't guaranteed tomorrow. So life
definitely
can end, in the snap of a finger.
We always end our calls, love you, man, because it's like,
Right.
don't forget.
That's right.
Yeah. I love you guys.
I love you guys.
Oh, you guys.
I love you too, Kevin. That's what I tell Londi every day, because of what I do every day is got to get out on the interstate with 80,000 pounds behind me.
Right.
And you never know what's going to happen out there.
Right.
I don't know that. But yeah, getting back to your podcast, dude. I don't know how much longer we're going to do this here for now, but anybody who's watching, I'd like to see Daryl and Rob and Chris Painter on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Terry Ivy.
JJ.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Let's see you get up here. I wish David Tannenbaum and you would get on here. I know David's in Dallas or somewhere, but Terry, come on, man. Let's talk about some of the old days.
I need to call Terry or get a hold
and get a hold of Daryl and Rob and Chris Painter.
Yeah, I talked to Daryl. Well, when we had Brian on, I talked to Daryl on the phone for a minute or two.
Good,
and,
good.
We have plans on getting him and Brian back on and talking about some things.
Brian was real informative. He had a lot of stuff to talk about. We didn't get around to everything. Man, I enjoyed this.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kevin.
It has been a really good night, going all the way from
1987.
Yeah, I was in 11th grade in 85.
Appreciate y'all letting me get it out.
Heck yeah. Thank you and thank Ricky,
Yeah, y'all had a lot of good stories and a lot of information there. It was really good.
And there's a lot we can't cover in an hour or two. So, we may have to do this again real soon.
Yep.
So, with that said, Scott, get us out of here.
Well, y'all get out. No, I'm just playing. We enjoyed everybody joining this podcast tonight. Be sure to like us on Facebook, check us out on YouTube, subscribe. Did I say subscribe?
I think you need to say subscribe.
Jesse, can you tell it? Subscribe. There you go.
Ricky, give them the sad face.
Subscribe, please. Pretty please.
Check us out. We got other shows in the past. We got more coming in the future. If there's anything y'all want to see, be sure to send us a message. Let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah. Like and comment on the video. If you have memories, let us know.
Yeah, if we got something wrong, definitely.
Oh yeah,
let us know on this one.
Just because you're watching it after the fact, you can always comment. We can get back with you, ask questions. We can get back in touch with these guys. Maybe they want to come back and answer a few questions. That'd be a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
It's interactive.
We got plans for the future. I don't know that we're going to do one every week from here on out. We're probably going to slow it down to maybe every other week at least. But it's a lot of work to go involved to do it every week. So we're evolving as this rolls, and we're figuring things out as things go. But we'll keep you informed on Facebook.
Again, thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Thanks, man. Thank both of you.
Thank you, Scott.
Here.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. It's always my pleasure. And thank you guys for checking us out, and more to come.
All right. Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Cut.